Let me ask you something. Have you ever given feedback so clearly, calmly, and so directed, and yet nothing has changed? You walk away thinking the message has landed, but a week later it's the same behaviour, the same mistake, the same pattern. And you think to yourself, did they not understand? Did they not hear me? Why am I more invested in their improvement than they are? I've worked with leaders across industries and generations, and I can tell you this. When feedback doesn't land, it's rarely because you weren't clear. It's because the team, weren't safe, ready, or regulated enough to receive it. And here's the part most leadership development courses never really teach. Feedback is not a transfer of information, it's a transfer of emotional safety and interpretation. I learned this the hard way early in my career. I used to think clarity alone would solve everything, but clarity without emotional attunement goes absolutely nowhere. Today I want to help you understand why your feedback doesn't land, especially in multi-generational teams, and what you can do to change that. The truth no one tells you is that people don't resist feedback, they resist feeling exposed. Feedback triggers something in the brain called self-protection. Different generations respond differently. Gen Z, am I being judged? Millennials, am I failing? Gen X, here we go again. And boomers, why are we overcomplicating this? Same feedback with 4 interpretations. Do you remember a time when you thought you were helping, but you watched someone shut down in front of you? Or when was the last time someone nodded through your feedback but didn't actually take it in? Their reaction wasn't about you, it was about vulnerability. Why does your team hear you but just doesn't change? Feedback fails for these 3 reasons. Number 1, the emotional temperature is too high. If someone feels stressed, unsure, overwhelmed, or defensive, their brain cannot process improvement. Number 2, you skip the context without understanding why the change matters. Feedback feels like criticism, not development. And the third one, you assumed clarity equals capability. Just because they understand doesn't mean they know how to implement it according to your expectations. This is the gap where leaders accidentally overfunction and teams quietly underfunction. I call this the multi-generational feedback gap. Generational differences play a huge role. Gen Z needs psychological safety before they can absorb feedback. Millennials, they need context. Why this matters to the bigger picture. Gen X want autonomy. Tell me the goal, not every single detail. And boomers want clarity and respect. Be direct and just don't sugarcoat it. If your feedback doesn't match their interpretive filter, it just won't land, no matter how well you deliver it. When was the last time you tailored your feedback to the person and not the situation? If the answer is rarely, you're not doing anything wrong. You've never been taught this or thought about this. Feedback only works when the nervous system is calm. Before giving feedback, ask yourself, are they in a state to hear this right now? Look for signs of overwhelm, shutdown, defensiveness, tension, speed, and silence. If you sense activation, begin with safety. Before we talk about the task, how are you doing with everything at the moment is a great question to start with. This one sentence can change the entire dynamic for you. The 3-layer feedback model is one of the most effective feedback structures I teach leaders. The first layer is observational state. What happened without interpretation? I noticed the deadline slipped by 3 days. Layer 2, impact. Explain what it created. It pushed the whole project behind and increased pressure on others. Layer 3 is partnership. Invite collaboration. Let's look at what support or clarity you need moving forward. No blame, no ego, no pressure, just ownership and partnership. Can you remember a moment when someone actually opened up during feedback? What did you do differently? That's your blueprint. The next step, contract. Feedback is actually useless without follow through. End with, what's your next step? That's their responsibility. What do you need from me is your support. When should we reconnect? That's shared accountability. Most feedback collapses because expectations just get lost in the middle. This tool will ensure conversation creates behavioural change and not just agreement. When feedback lands, the whole team shifts. Here's what you'll see. You'll see less defensiveness, more confidence, more clarity, more autonomy, more initiative, more growth, and you will feel lighter, clearer, less drained, more grounded, and more effective. This is what real leadership looks like, not just managing work, but developing humans. This is where leadership meets life at work. Before I finish, I want you to think about this. Remember the moment when your feedback didn't change anything. When was the last time you asked someone how they interpreted your feedback? Which shift will help your team receive, not resist, your feedback this week? Feedback isn't just what you say, it's what they feel safe enough to hear.